Welcome back. Now, the Supreme Court has dismissed an application for injunction which sought to restrain the Electoral Commission from going ahead to organize the Buakwa North by-election and the limited registration exercise. Abu Ramadan, who filed the suit in his application, argued it will be contemptuous for the Electoral Commission to conduct the by-election in Buakwa using the current voters register, seeing he is challenging the credibility of same in court. The reason for the dismissal was not immediately given by the 7-member panel of judges presided over by Chief Justice Georgina Wood. The panel, however, explained the reasoning will be made available during the final ruling on the plaintiff's substantive suit, asking for the annulment of the entire voters register to be replaced with a new one, arguing the current one lacks credibility. Now, in dismissing the application for interlocutory injunction, Chief Justice and other members of the panel urged the Electoral Commission to engage more with relevant stakeholders in the election to ensure a more transparent process ahead of the November polls. I have with me in the studio now Abu Ramadan himself to talk us through some of his expectations and what the way forward will be. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So the case was thrown out.
A victory for us.
Thrown out is a victory for you. Let me understand.
Let me start off by saying very good evening to your viewers. I believe today, after the court ruling, after the decision of the court, which really didn't come to us as a surprise, because last night or the nights before, myself and my colleague Ivan Sinemakon, together with the legal team, sat down to look at the substantive matter, which is the important case itself, not the injunction we're seeking, but the substantive matter, how the ruling from the court would affect the substantive matter. But happily enough, the reason why I say a victory for us is because regardless of that's why the ruling the court gave and said they can't uphold the application for injunction against the commission from engaging in any form of election whatsoever, and also any form of registration whatsoever. The court made it a point to say we would give the reasons for our decision in the ruling that will come after the substantive matter.
And you see this as good news and as victory.
And it was part of one of the possibilities we looked at and realized that was a more likely possibility than the court, because it was a mountain for the Supreme Court to climb, to say give us an interlocutory injunction against the commission from doing that. It was, but more profound was the saying, not the ruling, not in their ruling, but the advice the Supreme Court gave to the Electoral Commission.
To engage more with stakeholders.
Engage, particularly with the applicants before the court. Because the court itself, in its wisdom, comes to the conclusion or agrees that the voters register is problematic, first and foremost, because it has people who registered using the health insurance. Secondly, it has dead names on the register. And the court admits that as a country or as a commission, there isn't time on the side of the commission to waste or to play around. And for that matter, if the commission is able to make certain compromises so that we can come to...
And which compromises have you been expecting of the commission?
The court.
I know, but you as an individual who went to court, I'm sure as part of your legal strategy, you may have been thinking about possible compromises that might make you
the only sort of compromise,
give in to some of the demands that you're making.
I'm sure would satisfy all parties in this matter.
It's a new register.
It's not a new register. It's a credible register. A register that whoever wins the election won't say there was enough room for maneuvering.
And a couple of months to elections, how do we get that credible register? If the EC has made it clear that there isn't going to be a new one.
Our second suit, we filed the suit together with this application for interlocutory injunction. If you remember, we reviewed the earlier suit and told the court that we'll come back with a new application with additional information. The suit we just filed, the substantive matter, we are not just asking the court to throw out the voters register, because we know time is of essence to us. We're asking the court if the possibility of we annulling the entire register and having a new one will be a problem. We should have a system called a revalidation process, where the 14 million registered people on the register, plus those who registered during 2014,
will have to queue again and validate.
Precisely.
Wouldn't that be cumbersome?
How cumbersome? In Nigeria, they did it. In Nigeria, it took out over 11 million votes of the register. And out of the 11 million votes, in 2011, Goodluck Jonathan won the election against General Buhari, the current president, with a little over 10 million. After the validation process, the figures that were taken out were somewhere in the region of 14 to 15,000. Buhari in 2011, comparing the votes he got in 2011 to what he got in 2015, the difference in the votes is just about 1.2, 1.3 million. So that 10 million that came out gave room for maneuvering for any party to work its way into, or perpetuate itself, or work its way into government. So we are saying that it is something that can be done, and I'm happy, myself and Evans and the legal team, we are excited that the court has shown that the revalidation is something that is very feasible and that can be done, and the commission can do it. So the ruling of the court to say we won't grant it is not to say that it doesn't affect the substance of the matter, but to say that if today the substantive matter is heard and the Supreme Court decides that, okay, we are not going to grant you the opportunity to have a new register, but Electoral Commission should go back and revalidate every registered voter to make sure that the right people on the voters register. Those who will be registered starting from the 27th of next month to of April to I think the 3rd or 4th of May, all those who would have registered during that time would also have to come back and go through the validation process. And for that matter, it's not something that we should be crying over.
Tell me, what really is your motivation for pursuing these cases in court?
It's the nightmare I have every night when I sleep. When I remember the 2016 election, myself and like-minded people like me, we sleep and wake up, we have nightmares in our sleep, that fear of the fact that if we move into the election with this current register, the peace we enjoy in this country stands to be questioned.
How so? Are you not being paranoid?
You can call it paranoia, but whatever you want to describe it, it is a fear that is not only felt by myself and like-minded people. Judge John Rawlings, when we went to visit him, led by vote count, we went to visit him, he made a profound statement and said, look, I have felt this sort of atmosphere before, where this country has gotten to the brink, where the country is willing for change. And any act that will seek to subvert that change is a potential threat to the peace and stability of our country. Not only Rawlings has made that point. Other senior former president Kufuor made a similar point. Other senior people have made similar points. And we feel, let us have a credible register, so that after 2016, after November, we would have a peaceful Ghana, we would have a new president, or have the existing. Should we have a credible register and John Mahama wins the election, President Mahama wins the election, the whole country should be able to congratulate him because he won on a slate of a clean register, not because the system was rigged for him. That's what we should take out. If a new party is elected, we should all rally behind it and say, at least the election was free, fair, transparent, and credible. And for that matter, the person won genuinely. That is the drive, and that is the motivation. It's nothing but that. Nothing but I don't know what that will motivate me than rather enjoying the peace.
So have you thought about the possibility that perhaps all these legal issues you're taking to court might delay, and that by the time you have an outcome, it's close to November, and that nothing really can
in
be
Nigeria,
done?
75 million. In Nigeria, 75 million registered voters. It took Nigeria 1 month, less than a month, to compile a credible register that saw them vote in 2015.
You think this is possible in Ghana?
14 million. We can't go beyond the 50 million threshold. Even if we open the register for re-registration 10 times before November, we can never cross the 50 million threshold. So it should take us 2 weeks to exercise this process and get done with it. If the Electoral Commission is willing to go to Nigeria and say, borrow us your BVR machines, the Electoral Commission will go to other African countries and say, borrow us your equipment we want to use to run our registration and election process. They should open all the 30,000 polling stations simultaneously. So you within 2 weeks, it is feasible.
You think the Electoral Commission is not reaching out enough to stakeholders to assure you that it is ready to conduct an election credibly with a voters register you can trust?
It's also sad the proceedings in court can't be recorded because the opinion, I wouldn't mention the judge, but the opinion of the court largely is the Electoral Commission, when you listen to the Supreme Court, they feel the Electoral Commission is too timid and unwilling to listen. So the Supreme Court says, listen. Some of the judges on the panel felt we should give an order that the Electoral Commission must sit down with applicants and also stakeholders to look at the possible way of validating and making the register more credible. But the Chief Justice and the panel felt, okay, we shouldn't make it an order. We should rather make it. We should get the Electoral Commission to do it with an open heart rather than imposing on them. So tomorrow my lawyers are writing to the Electoral Commission.
Right, Abu Ramadan, we're grateful for your time on
Thank you.
News at 10. Abu Ramadan is pursuing a series of cases at the court. Although a case of his was thrown out today, he believes that it's still victory for his cause to get Ghana have a credible voters register. My name is Stephen Anti.